Hi everybody, it is October at 4 a.m. on the 13th, and I just want to put my story out there to anybody that's listening. So, I was with this man for 10 years, and I have a daughter that he treated like his own. I actually knew him for about 14 years. I was friends with his son, and then we got together June 1st, 2012. I was 22 and he was 54. And we were very happy and doing very good. And about 4 years ago, his health started to derail. And he was a hard-working man, worked 12 hours a day. Really treated me good and my daughter. And he was diagnosed with colon cancer at Tampa General. And they did some kind of surgery on him then, and then they did chemotherapy. And then after chemotherapy, they did another check, and he had rectal cancer. And then they did a surgery on him, another surgery, to give him a temporary ileostomy bag. And he had the surgery for the port in his chest for chemotherapy. And gave him a temporary ileostomy bag and said that we'll have to do reverse surgery in a couple months. And a couple months came down the road, and they told him that he had liver cancer. And that they're going to have to perform a 6-operation, 12-hour surgery. And this was about 2 months after he died, or 2 months after, 3 months after he got an ileostomy bag, that he went in for another surgery. And, I just want to start off by saying that I'm proud of him. He worked very hard to try and stay with us. And he got, they told him that he's gonna have to get 40% of his liver taken out. That they were gonna have to take a piece of muscle out of his leg to put a flap on his backside. And, turn his temporary into a permanent. I'm missing a few things here. Just bear with me. So he had to have surgery on his backside. He had to have muscle taken out of his leg. They had to take his temporary ileostomy bag, do surgery on that, and then do a permanent ileostomy bag. Take out 40% of his liver, and I'm missing something else. He had his surgery May 9th. The day before, he was working really hard. He just had the temporary ileostomy bag. He was doing good. And he went in for surgery May 9th. And midway into surgery, it was supposed to be a 12-hour operation, open operation. And I remember the cancer had already spread. And I wasn't really as knowledgeable as I am now that he's gone, but he had a 12-hour operation at Tampa General. And they called me midway through the surgery and said that his liver surgery went great, but he still has liver cancer on the other side. And then they told me, oh yeah, and he's got lung cancer. We caught the bottom half of his lungs when we took imaging. And he's not even out of surgery yet. And he was supposed to come out cancer-free, you know, a clean slate, whatever. And they told me that. And when he got out of surgery and he called me, they hadn't told him yet. And I had to be the one to tell him that he went through all this hard work to still have cancer, to still have liver cancer and lung cancer, that he's going to have future surgery. That's what they said. First off, Tampa General wasn't really good with him. He had a couple bad experiences there, and this last one took his life. Not that I'm saying that he wouldn't have died eventually, but naturally, when you have cancer that's already spread through your body, you're not supposed to open the body up because it spreads like wildfire. And that's what happened with him. So he had a surgery May 9th. He came home about 5 or 6 days later. And let me just start with that he wasn't in the best condition. They had torn stitches on his lower abdomen, a hole that was 3 inches deep. And his backside looked really bad and irritated. And there was some tearing. And some stitches pulled. And, hang on. And they just kept telling me to put this cream on him to close up the hole, the tearing. And I told him that they were doing it wrong. He had a 3.6 depth tunnel that was there. And they wanted to close this hole up, and that's not something that you should do. And I was following what they were saying, and it still wasn't doing any good. And I told them that they should do the same regimen that they did on his lower abdomen, which is Silverdene string. That helps the wound, whatever. Because his lower abdomen, I was his nurse, it healed. It went away, it closed up and everything. And I remember he had staples all the way down from the top of his chest to the lower part of his stomach. He probably had about 40 staples in his stomach. He had staples down his leg. So May 9th he came home. He had surgery and he came home a few days later. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. It's just one of those nights that I can't sleep, and I just want to put my story out there that we had a really pretty bad experience with Tampa General. And, so he came home about 5 days later after surgery, so let's just say that about the 16th. And we had home health care nurse that came once a week. I was doing all wound care and everything for him. And everything was going good except the backside. And all they wanted him to do was just stay in bed. And, so I had the nurse check and see if there was any progress being made because it wasn't closing and doing what it was supposed to be doing. And I remember it was a 3 something depth tunnel. And when she checked it again, it was 4.6. that's really deep. You can't close a wound up and have that. So I suggested Silverdine rope. Feed Silverdine rope in it so it could heal. And the same night, the nurse had called me and said the doctor put the order in for that. And it started to work. It was working really well. And I know that this isn't the first case that they had with him. Like, they should have already known what steps and what they should have done right off the bat. And, it was all going good. Now, remember, it was about way past the ear tip long. And, right at the end, it was literally the end of a cotton ball by the end of the ear tip. So he was, like, almost closed up. And, so time's gone by, and I noticed that he's just not really doing well. And, they were giving him liquid hydration at home. He was taking antibiotic every day, twice a day. And, so he had the surgery May 9th, and August 29th, I had called 911. And I had St. Anthony's pick him up, or take him to St. Anthony's. And he was already doing bad, because his legs were swelling. He started to turn yellow. And, he didn't have an appetite. And I told him it was time to call 911, and he agreed. And, he went to St. Anthony's. Now remember, I forgot to mention, after he got out of surgery, he was doing real bad because he had to go back to the hospital because his stomach wasn't doing well after liver surgery, and they pumped his stomach because he had all this liquid in his stomach because of his liver. I'm not really sure exactly how it goes, but... And after that, his health just really started to decline. He was sick. And, August 29th, he goes to St. Anthony's. And there isn't really much they can do for him. I come in the 30th, August 30th in the morning. And they explained to me what was going on, and that the cancer has spread everywhere. Everywhere. And that there isn't much that they can do for him. And he was in ICU. And they, moved him to the 3rd floor, which is at an ICU. And the Dr. Cancer in St. Pete that was doing things for him that wasn't even affiliated with Tampa General because they weren't doing the right things when it came to the antibiotic and everything that was so hard to get them to do. And he had came to me and told me that they're going to pump his stomach to make him feel better. And, basically all these things weren't doing anything for him. You know, the liquid IV, the antibiotic, or nothing. Everything had already been shutting down. And at this time he wasn't really, talking. He couldn't make decisions for himself. And, so the 31st morning he had his stomach pumped. And I came in. And I was there till about 1:30. And they saw how upset I was in the situation. And they said we're going to do everything to get him home. And the 31st, he came home. They transported him home by ambulance. And, on the 31st of August, at 6 p.m., he was home. And we had home hospice care. And, he wasn't talking or anything like that, so there was, no verbal going on. And I just made him as comfortable as I could. And, I lay next to him, and we slept together. And in the 2 days that he was in the hospital, he didn't sleep. His eyes were always open. And I went to sleep next to him that night. And I woke up at 7:30 in the morning. And I look over. And his eyes are closed and his mouth is closed. And he is on oxygen. And I haven't seen him do that in 2 days. And I just thank God that he was so peacefully sleeping with me that night. So we had a good night together, sleeping. And that morning I opened up the blinds. I started my day with opening up the blinds, telling him good morning, and that I love him. And I give him his medicine and everything. And the day goes on. My daughter's with me. And it's the 1st of September. He'd only been home about 13 hours. At this point, it was 7:30 in the morning, and I'm talking to my sister, everything's going on in the room so he can hear what's going on. And, anytime I left the room, I announced I was leaving the room. Anytime my daughter came in, she announced it, and so on. So he knew what was going on. And, he loved my daughter like she was his own. He's been with her for over 10 years. She's 13. Known her since she was a baby, though. And hold on. So we had the whole day together, just talking around him, and, just me and Adriana and anybody that I was talking to over the phone on speaker, like his sisters and his nephew and my sister BJ, because he really wanted me to reach out to her through this whole thing, because her husband has cancer too. And the day goes on, and I told my daughter, I said, it's only you and him in the room. Nobody can hear you when I leave the room. And he was holding on for some reason. And I knew it. I've been with this man over 10 years. I knew it was going to happen. And I told her that you need to give him some peace. And I came back in and she was crying. And she goes, Mom, I'm not good with expressing myself, but I did sing a song, and I told him that I'll be okay. And she announced out loud that she was going to go to the store and get Mom some coffee. It's about 6:30. And before she left, I asked her if she could play some music for me. And his son had passed away. And before he could even fathom the fact that he passed away, the song that he wanted to play at his funeral was Free Bird by Leonard Skinner. So I decided to play the song. And I kind of started singing a little bit, goofing off like I normally would. And he started to do some mouth movement, some kind of voice as if he was trying to sing it or something. And Then my daughter was getting ready to leave. She says, "Ted, I'm going to go buy Mom some coffee and I'm going to go to the store." And I decided to play 2 Tickets to Paradise by Eddie Money. Because we used to go to the beach every Friday and we always jammed to that song. And I felt like it was our song. So I started to play that. And midway through the song, his sister Carol calls. And I'm talking to her while holding his hand, standing over him. And I'm just reminiscing old stories about him and how I felt about him and how I would sit in the van all day long just to watch him work. And before I realized what was about to happen. It was like the air was just taken out of my chest. And I told Carol, I said, "Let me call you back." And he looked at me for the first time in 2 days. Real wide. And took a breath. And I just told him that I was proud of him. And that I loved him. And then I called my daughter. That was still at the store. It was on speaker. I said, "You tell him you love him right now." And she did. And he took his last breath. And I see tears coming out of his eyes after he had passed. Now, he always thought of my daughter first, then me and himself. And up until his last breath, he still just thought about my daughter. That he saved his strength to make sure she did it when she stepped out. And I had told him when he came home, they know you could hear me, but I said, "Ted, I want to be sleeping with you when you pass, or I want to be holding your hand." And that's why I said, I am so proud of you for doing one of the 2 things that I asked. Now, this is September 1st, and he had died at 7:19 p.m. And he came home the night before at 6:30 p.m. So it had just been about 25 hours since he'd been home. And, it could have went so many different ways. And people don't really get the story that I have is our last minutes together. Is I felt like I played the right music. I had the right setting. I did everything the way that he wanted me to. And it was a fight to get him home in time. It really was. I had 4 hours before they had to stop working on it till the next day. Which he would have never made it. And I can't express enough how great St. Anthony's was in pulling all this together. And same way with Abby Affordable Cremation. They were very sincere and did everything very well. They were very good people. And the nurse that came out from hospice was very nice and everything. And while he was in the hospital, me and my daughter, before he really started to go down, we got to tell him that we loved him. He got to tell us that he loved us. He got to give us hugs. And a lot of people don't get the story that I got. As sad as it is, it's really a precious story that we were together. And he wasn't alone or somewhere else. He was in the comfort of his own home where he wanted to be so bad. I don't even know if I should put this out. I just know that my nights has been really raw. And sometimes I just don't have no one to talk me through it. So I'm just talking in front of the camera. Not really sure how to switch the camera the other way. I really wanted to show you guys the picture. I don't want to mess up the video. But anyway, somehow I don't know how to switch my camera in front of me so I can show you pictures. I guess that'll be on the next video. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there, and I can't express enough that it was a very bad experience at Tampa General, and the 12-hour 6 operation surgery should have never happened. It literally took his life a month and a half later. But I just wanted to put this story out there for myself, for me to look back on too. There's a lot of things I wouldn't have today if I had never uploaded them on YouTube. And the part 2 will be pictures. We were together 10 years and 4 months. And it had been the best 10 years and 4 months of my life and his. And my daughter's. So. But his name was Ted. My name is Eva, by the way. My daughter's Adriana. And it's been really rough. I've never went through anything like this before. I can't imagine anything being any worse than to lose someone that you love. Like, really, really love. I haven't been able to get in our bed, except maybe 2 or 3 times. And it's not because it was our bed, it's because I'm not going to bed with a man that I love, and I'm not waking up with him either. So, I burn a candle for him all night long. Till when the sun goes down and the sun comes up is when that candle goes out. He was a home remodeler. He was old school. He really knew how to treat his family. And he didn't. He literally showed me how a man is supposed to treat somebody, and I couldn't ask for anything better. He was 64 when he passed, and I'm 32. He was a good man, and I can't even say it or express it enough. My daughter misses him too, and this is going to be a hard recovery for me. I know it is, because it's just getting worse. You know, the first month was really, 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 really bad, but now it's even worse because the reality is settling in more, because the first month it kind of felt like at times that he had just stepped out, or he was at work, or he was at the hospital again. But anyway, this is my story. And there'll be a future more about my story later on, because I know this is a little bit all over the place in bits and pieces. But just like, share, and all that good stuff. And love you, Ted. And bye YouTube.